Welcome to the Explainer. So, you're trying to boost your TOEIC score, but you feel like you've hit a wall. Well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're going to break down the strategy to get past just passing and start chasing the one score that can really be a career game changer. And that number is 800. This is the big one. An 800 is the score that gets your resume noticed, the one that opens up doors for promotions, for new jobs, for huge global opportunities. It's basically the line in the sand that says, yeah, I can handle business English, no problem.
But let's be real, it is not easy. Hitting 800 or more puts you in a pretty elite club, the top 15% of everyone who takes the test. We're talking about a B2 level of proficiency here. That means you can understand complex stuff and have a natural conversation with native speakers without anyone getting lost. It's a high bar.
And this right here, this is probably a familiar feeling, right? That incredibly frustrating plateau. You study for hours, you do all the practice tests, and your score creeps up by, 5 points, 10 points? It feels like you are just spinning your wheels, and honestly, it's enough to make you want to give up. So how do you actually break through that wall and start seeing real progress? Well, the answer isn't just about studying harder, it's about studying smarter. You got to change how you think about the test entirely. And it all starts with a little bit of ancient wisdom. Our new strategy actually begins with a famous quote from the military strategist Sun Tzu. And believe it or not, his advice for winning battles thousands of years ago is the perfect playbook for crushing the TOEIC today. Okay, so in this fight, our enemy is the test itself, right? Its structure, its little tricks, the way it's timed. But the second part is the key. Know yourself. And that means you have to diagnose your own personal weaknesses with surgical precision. After every test, you get this abilities measured report. It's basically a sheet of raw data breaking down how you did. And you know what most people do? They give it a quick glance, maybe feel a little bummed out, and then they just toss it aside. That is a massive mistake.
Because this is where the real work begins. Top instructors don't just look at one test. They take that data from multiple tests and plot it over time, creating a personalized counseling sheet. It's a visual map of your performance, and all of a sudden, bam, the patterns just jump out at you. You can see exactly which skills are holding you back test after test. This becomes your personal roadmap.
Okay, so you have your map. Now what? Well, you can finally stop that panicked, scattershot approach of just buying every TOEIC book you can find. Instead, you get to choose your weapons, your study tools, with a purpose.
It's simple. If your map is screaming that you're weak in grammar questions, part 5 of the test, then you get a book that only drills part 5. If vocabulary is the problem, you find an app for that. The diagnosis dictates the tool. No more wasting hours studying things you're already good at.
All right, so you've got your map, you've got your tools, but here is the real secret sauce. It's all about how you train. People who break 800, they move beyond just looking for test hacks. They focus on something deeper, actual, genuine understanding.
See, most people are stuck over here on the left in this technique-first world. They're just hunting for answers, trying to match keywords, looking for shortcuts. The breakthrough happens when you shift to the right, to a comprehension-first approach. It's about stopping the hunt for the right bubble to fill in and instead really trying to understand the story of what's happening. Let's make that real. In a Part 7 reading passage, for example, instead of just scanning for words from the question, you actually read the email or the notice to understand the situation. Who are these people? What's their problem? What are they trying to do? When you do this, you build a much stronger, more flexible understanding, and you're not relying on fragile little tricks that fall apart under pressure.
And that brings us to the final boss, the biggest dragon for almost every single test taker, the clock. That 75-minute reading section is brutal, and the fear of running out of time causes more simple mistakes than anything else.
So this leads me to a really, really important question. And I mean it. The answer to this could completely flip how you approach the entire test.
The answer? A huge, resounding no. Absolutely not. In fact, all the data shows that unless you're shooting for a perfect 990, you probably shouldn't even try to finish. For almost everyone, trying to race to the finish line is a trap. It just makes you rush, make dumb mistakes, and it actually tanks your score.
And this chart shows you exactly why. Your strategy for time has to match your score goal. Look at the 800 target. You'd spend only 10 minutes each on the faster grammar and vocab sections, parts 5 and 6, so you can save a massive 55 minutes for the hard stuff in part 7. You have to accept you might not get to the last few questions, but you maximize your points on the ones you do get to. It is all about quality over quantity.
So here's the bottom line. Stop fighting a war against the clock you're not meant to win. Instead, diagnose your weaknesses to build your map. Choose your tools with purpose. Focus on understanding, not just tricks. And finally, run your own perfect race in the time you have. That is how you stop leaving points on the table, and that's how you finally break through to 800.